Welcome to this explainer, everyone, especially to those of you undergrads out there sitting in a lecture hall right now, kind of wondering how to take a world-changing idea and actually ground it in reality. Well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're going to move way past all that abstract idealism and unpack the 5 concrete pillars you actually need to build a transformative social enterprise. We're going to look really closely at what it genuinely takes to envision a completely new future. So, let's dive right in.
Let's start with the ultimate example of just a truly powerful vision. Think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. He perfectly illustrated how articulating a hopeful, positive picture of the future can mobilize literally millions of people and fundamentally challenge the status quo. His words didn't just, critique what was wrong with the present. They painted this vivid, undeniable picture of racial equality and justice. And it's a timeless model for social entrepreneurs because it perfectly demonstrates how a compelling vision can transcend time and spark deep, deep social transformation.
So here's the quick syllabus for today's explainer. We're looking at a 5-part visionary blueprint: the power of vision, transformation versus amelioration, systems and constituents, defining your future state, and the need for adaptability. And then we'll wrap it all up with an awesome real-world case study. Okay, starting off with the power of vision, the actual foundational force driving transformative action. The very first step in our blueprint is just understanding that a vision is not merely a checklist of goals. No, it's a bold, aspirational anchor that really unites people.
Think of it kind of like looking through a telescope at a distant galaxy. A really strong vision lets social entrepreneurs study the world not just as it is right now, but as it could be. It communicates exactly what is at stake and why change is absolutely necessary. By painting this vivid picture of what success looks like, you're basically energizing your stakeholders to throw their resources, their creativity, and their resilience into actually getting there.
But wait, how do you actually calibrate that telescope? Well, to truly look beyond the present, your aspirations have got to be grounded in 3 core things. First up, deep empathy. You have to truly understand the lived experiences and the everyday struggles of those facing systemic barriers. Second is moral imagination, which is basically your capacity to envision radically different ways of organizing society and its resources. And third, a profound, unwavering belief in human dignity, just knowing that every single person out there deserves opportunity, respect, and agency. Which brings us to transformation versus amelioration. This is all about pursuing systemic change, and it represents a massive, critical paradigm shift in how we actually approach global problems.
As a social entrepreneur, you basically have to make a choice. Are you going to just slap a Band-Aid on a reopening wound? That's amelioration. Or are you going to completely redesign the underlying system to eliminate the root cause altogether? That is true transformation. Look, amelioration provides temporary relief, right? It reduces immediate suffering. And hey, while that's noble, it doesn't really fix the underlying mechanics of the problem. Transformation, on the other hand, changes mindsets and completely restructures institutions to create lasting, self-sustaining change.
So the crucial takeaway here is that true social entrepreneurs are almost never satisfied with a path of short-term fixes or surface-level efficiency. Instead, they take the diverging path. They want to restructure institutions. They're hunting for a strategic shift in identity and value models. If you're going to dedicate your career, or even just your big class project, to solving a problem, you definitely want to be on the right side of this fork in the road, aiming for fundamental changes in systems and structures.
Moving right along to systems and constituents. This step requires us to really widen our lens. We need to look at both the specific people we're trying to help and the much broader world they actually live in.
Because whether you're focusing your efforts on rural women, small-scale farmers, or underserved students, you've got to recognize they don't exist in a vacuum, right? They exist in this massive, complex web of economic, political, cultural, and social systems. Change at the individual level absolutely must be supported by change at the institutional and structural levels if you want it to last. You have to make sure that your interventions uplift your target constituents while at the exact same time influencing the wider ecosystem they belong to. To really grasp this, just think about how an individual's success is fundamentally tied to things like local policies, market access, or social norms. That wider context, it's literally everything. Okay, up next is defining the destination, what we call a superior future state. Our 4th pillar demands that you define exactly what a compellingly superior reality actually looks like once the problem is finally solved. And look, this future state, It isn't just some abstract pie-in-the-sky idealism, it's built on concrete pillars. You need to clearly describe how your solution leads to improved physical, mental, and emotional well-being. You have to show how it creates fairness and justice through equitable distribution of resources. You need to map out the expanded opportunities for education and economic mobility. And finally, it absolutely must reaffirm human dignity. Basically, this future state has to be so undeniably superior to the present reality that your stakeholders feel incredibly energized and pumped to pursue it alongside you.
All right, time for a bit of a reality check as we hit the need for adaptability. Because let's face it, complex environments shift, and a rigid vision, it's going to break. It's kind of like bamboo bending in the wind. Adaptability ensures your vision actually survives shifts in policy, culture, and community needs. Social entrepreneurship does not happen in a perfectly controlled laboratory. Policies change, funding dries up, and cultural contexts evolve all the time. Your vision has to remain relevant and achievable despite all these shifting conditions. You've basically got to navigate the chaos of uncertainty while keeping that rock-solid commitment to long-term transformation. So, how do you remain adaptable while staying completely true to your core vision? Well, you've got to master this continuous three-step loop. First, you listen, and I mean really listen, gathering direct feedback from the communities and stakeholders you're serving. Second, you analyze, assessing the data to figure out what's actually working and what definitely needs adjustment. And third, you adjust, refining your strategies on the ground while rigorously protecting your core transformative vision. All right, let's bring all 5 of these academic concepts together and see how this entire blueprint actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at an incredible case study, Barefoot College in India.
So, the big question, how does a compellingly superior vision actually transform a whole system? Well, to answer this, we look at Barefoot College, which was founded by Bunker Roy. His team didn't just want to, bring electricity to villages. No, they envisioned a compellingly superior world where rural people, and specifically women, become the literal architects of their very own development.
And what they did is amazing. By training everyday villagers, we're talking grandmothers here, as solar engineers, health workers, and educators, they challenged literally every conventional assumption out there about who holds expertise. They didn't just ameliorate poverty with a handout, they radically transformed the system. They turned rural communities into self-sufficient hubs of knowledge. They proved that solutions can absolutely emerge from within, showing how education, dignity, and trust can fundamentally reshape entire systems from the inside out, creating this incredible lasting change across generations. Now, as you all prepare to draft your own one-page vision statements for your class assignments, I want you to remember to use this exact structure to move from simple empathy to actionable systemic change. Articulate an inspiring vision. Demonstrate how it creates transformation, not just amelioration. Identify your target constituents and the broader systems they're in. Describe that concrete, superior future state. And finally, show exactly how your enterprise is going to remain adaptable when things inevitably change. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to really spark your moral imagination as you head back to your textbooks and your project groups. When you study the world not just as it is, but as it could be, what broken system are you going to transform? And what does your compellingly superior new future actually look like? The blueprint is in your hands now. Go out there and build something extraordinary.